When your health throws a massive curveball, life can suddenly feel, well, foggy, uncertain. You might feel totally stuck. But what if all that uncertainty wasn't a dead end? What if it was actually a doorway, a chance to learn the really profound art of self-acceptance? Let's dive in and talk about that. What's so powerful about this quote is how it flips the whole problem on its head. It suggests the issue isn't the uncertainty itself, because let's be real, that's just part of life. The real source of our pain, our suffering, is that constant, exhausting fight against it. It's that resistance to the way things are that just completely wears us down. And for so many people, this struggle creates a really painful gap. It's this space between the memory of who you used to be, your energy, your abilities, all the roles you played, and the reality of who you are right now, today. This isn't just some small change. It can feel like a deep, emotional canyon. And that feeling leads to one of the biggest and frankly most frightening questions we can ever ask ourselves. When the very things that you thought defined you have changed, your whole sense of identity can feel like it's on really shaky ground. So let's start by digging into what it actually feels like to live in this state of uncertainty, this place where your own body can start to feel like a completely unfamiliar and sometimes a pretty treacherous country. This feeling actually has a name. It's called illness uncertainty. And it's that disorienting feeling you get when you just can't rely on the normal signals from your own body anymore. Imagine driving a car where a stop sign sometimes means go, and the brake pedal, well, it only works half the time. That's the kind of anxiety and confusion this can create on a daily basis.
And this feeling kind of breaks down into four main parts. First, you've got ambiguity. That constant questioning, right? Is this just a flare-up, or is it something totally new and scary? Then there's complexity. Just trying to get your head around treatments and what is even happening inside your body. There's also what's called deficient information. Getting vague answers from doctors or falling down that internet rabbit hole of completely conflicting advice. And then the big one, unpredictability. It just robs you of the ability to plan your days, let alone your future, with any real confidence.
All of this uncertainty leads to something that we really have to acknowledge, a very real, very valid grieving process. This isn't just about your physical health, it's about mourning the life you had, the person you were, and the future you had all mapped out. So here's where it really hits home. Look at this contrast. On one side, you have the memory of your ideal self, the active one, the reliable friend, maybe the caregiver for everyone else. And on the other side is the reality of how you feel now. Maybe you're limited by fatigue, you feel unpredictable, you need care yourself, you feel scared. Seeing that gap so clearly laid out, it can be absolutely heartbreaking, and it is so important to let yourself feel that sense of loss.
But here's the thing. Acknowledging that grief is the first step towards something incredibly powerful, and that's the freedom that comes from acceptance. But I promise you, it's probably not what you think it is.
Okay, this is so important to understand. Acceptance is not giving up. It's not laziness, and it's definitely not pretending you're happy about the situation. No. Instead, it's an active, powerful choice to just acknowledge reality as it is. It's the solid ground you need to stand on before you can figure out where to step next. It's how you stop wasting precious energy fighting what is and start using that energy to build what can be. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus just hit the nail on the head with this one. Your reality, your body, your energy, your circumstances, this is the material you have to work with right now. Acceptance is just agreeing to work with that material instead of wishing it was something else. And in that agreement, wow, there is so much freedom. When you stop letting your emotional state get jerked around by a reality you can't change, you take your power back. You free up this huge amount of mental and emotional energy, which you can then point toward the things you can actually influence. And this all leads us to a really fundamental shift in how we see ourselves. We have to challenge this idea that our self is some kind of fixed, concrete statue that can be broken or lost. So please, hear me on this. You are not a broken version of yourself. You haven't lost your true self. The self isn't a static thing. It's a continuous process. You are always you. The you of today is just learning and adapting based on new experiences, the same way you always have. This experience is now part of your story, part of your evolution. Okay, so with this new mindset in place, how do we actually start moving forward? Let's get into some practical, concrete steps you can take to start building a new path right from where you are today. This new path is really built on three main pillars. First, we're going to talk about how to reframe the story you're telling yourself. Then, we'll get into setting intentional goals that actually build momentum. And finally, we'll touch on the incredible power of asking for support. So, reframing your story is all about consciously shifting your focus. It means moving from a story of loss, everything you can't do anymore, to a story of resilience. What can you do today? What new strengths, like incredible patience or empathy, have you discovered on this journey? Your condition is a chapter in your story, for sure, but it is not the title of the book. Next up, setting goals that actually work for you. Now, when everything feels totally unpredictable, the SMART method is an amazing tool for creating these little pockets of certainty and control. It helps you turn a vague wish, like, I just want to feel better, into a concrete, actionable plan. And this approach builds momentum and self-trust because every single small goal you hit is a win that you made happen. Ultimately, this whole process brings us to one incredibly powerful, forward-looking question. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, we can start asking, okay, what does my reality require me to do? This question shifts your focus from being a victim to being an agent in your own life. It acknowledges the circumstances and then immediately looks for the next wise, productive step forward. It's all about taking responsibility for your response. Because that's the final, crucial thing to remember. Your life is not over just because it has changed. It is simply in a new phase of evolution. This journey through uncertainty and towards acceptance, it's a transformation. It's an unfolding into a new version of you, a version that is more resilient, more wise, and still absolutely full of purpose.